Hi, Soren. Hi, John.
Hi there. Where are you
Um,
calling from?
I'm calling from Hull, in the UK.
Hull in the
Um,
UK. Okay.
yeah, you've caught me completely by surprise because I didn't expect it to be big tower. It's completely thrown me.
All
My
right.
head's just a shed now.
Take your
Um,
time. Don't worry.
Thank you. Um, well, first, I'd just like to thank you for this forum that you've provided for everybody. It's it's just been therapeutic to me lately. I've been reading your books for a couple of years and following you with sources online. Um, and recently found you were doing these YouTube videos. Found them really useful. I'm not really technologically savvy, so I found it very hard to get on the Zoom thing at first, but here I am.
You're on
It
now.
worked. Yep. Um, yeah, and I just want to thank you for how this is helping. Really, I'm finding it's a space where I can sit with what's happening right now. I can sit with it and I can process it and I can accept it. Um,
That's huge. Let me just say that is really huge.
yeah, I've had my good days and bad days. Um, some mornings waking up without a sense of purpose, which has come on over the past probably 4 or 5 weeks. Um, this has improved of late, and yeah, just this forum generally has just been brilliant. Um, Felt a lot of anxiety lately because I'm currently being furloughed by my employer. So I don't quite know when I'm going to be going back to work. And
Right.
obviously in the UK at the moment, a lot of us are concerned about mass unemployment
Mm.
occurring, with the economy obviously taking such a hit. So that's been sort of a simmering anxiety for me.
That's
I,
first of all, I just want to say, Ben, that is so totally understandable. So it's just really, it would be astonishing if you weren't feeling that way.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, because I have a family, I've got 3 children to feed on a
Yeah,
low
this is
income
this
job.
is
It's tough. I did have a question.
but let
It's
me
coming
just
to me
say
now.
before you even come to your question, the fact that you are on this call, having been furloughed and have a family with 3 children, that is huge. Okay, that there's something in you that knows that this is a marathon, not a sprint. And it's a marathon that has various hurdles too that you have to jump over or crash into. And to
Yeah,
me, the very fact that you've been, found this and been on this call from time to time and finding it by your own report, at least somewhat buoyant and useful and so forth, I don't want that to go unnoticed by me or by you because we could say it easily in passing, but it is huge, Ben, and it's a very good sort of prognostic of what's to come because you're taking care of things that ordinarily we don't take care of when we fall into fear spaces.
yeah, absolutely. I've sort of felt like I've had to go inside somewhat it may sound strange with being inside. I've had to go inside,
Doesn't
and
sound strange to me.
I've sort of had to pay attention to everything I'm feeling, as you'll probably say yourself, non-judgmentally, and
Yeah, as best you can, because non-judgmental doesn't mean that you won't be hard on yourself or have a lot of judgments about this or that. It means
yeah,
that you will suspend judgment as best you can and then be really compassionate about the judging that you find
yeah,
yourself caught up in, because we all do it. It's not
yeah,
some kind of ideal of like, okay, now I'll never have another judgment again.
right.
Okay,
Yeah, my question.
please.
How can I put it? Well, I mean, part of my anxiety lately has been based around probably a lot of the members of the public in the UK not following the rules of social distancing.
Yeah.
Same
here.
For me to try to not feel feelings of frustration over this, so that, because there's so many of us that want to get back to normal, that want to return to our lives, and we feel like it's sort of, how can I put it? It's ruining the chances of that somewhat. And really, as far as mindfulness goes, how can we make it more widespread without trying to indoctrinate people with it? That's the the $1 million question.
It is $1 million, £1 million. I mean, that's a huge question, £100 million question.
Because I feel like it's almost like this crisis has been a wake-up call. It's almost telling us this is the way to go. And
well, it's a very profound question. I love that you're asking it. I love that you're working with your own sort of mental processes, so to speak, and the ones that kind of tend us towards anxiety and even depression. And it's all really workable as long as you're holding this kind of a stance, and especially if you're in kind of a family situation where there's some support from among you, so that you're not completely feeling isolated or alone, which is really wonderful. Excuse my coughing, by the way. I don't know what's exactly.
No, you're quite
right. And you're asking, the absolutely essential question about, like, I think all of us are feeling that kind of anxiety. Like, how do we get back into it without being stupid and winding up, being, getting infected ourselves or passing it on to other people without even knowing it, including our family members and so forth. This disease is this virus not kidding around. I mean, it's heavy duty. And this is that wake-up call that we're, I hope, learning from. Now, you can't proselytize about mindfulness. It will, it's not wise to try to proselytize around mindfulness. And we fall into self-righteousness and things like that, and think, now we know what the world needs going forward, and if everybody would just be more mindful. But we can't just magically make the world more mindful or people more mindful. And there are a lot of different kinds of perspectives, views, and so forth on people. So this cannot be, in some sense, exported in a kind of imperialist way. But as I think Marcy said, there are a lot of different kinds of infections. And mindfulness seems to be kind of infectious in a very positive way. It's a positive meme, you could say, rather than a gene. But it's touching more and more people than ever before. And in the UK, I mean, even in Parliament, never mind what you think of Parliament these days, but there have been mindfulness programs for parliamentarians and parliamentary staff for 4 or 5 years now, run out of the Oxford Center for Mindfulness. There's so much good stuff going on in the UK, which is also the original country for mindfulness-based cognitive therapy, which is mandated for people with multiple episodes of major depressive disorder. It's actually mandated by the NHS that people be available to people, that mindfulness-based cognitive therapy be available for those people. Well, that's an awful lot of people. So where are the NHS MBCT teachers that are capable of meeting that demand? So in all sorts of ways, this is penetrating into the society. And the important thing I would say at the moment for you is to, one, keep up your practice. Two, as best you can, maintain your sanity in this insane time. And that means also having a sense of humor and really being able to laugh in the face of the full catastrophe, because if you don't, we're going to wind up crying, and being furloughed is scary. We have close to 40 million people in the United States at the moment. 40 million people, like the
Wow.
economy just dropped out of it. And so there's a certain way in which this is beyond any one of us. This is something that we're going to have to, in some sense, feel our way into together. And there are real um, initiatives out there, including something called the Mindful Initiative that is grounded in the Parliament in the UK, but has a lot of different kinds of programs that you can research. And maybe when things get a little bit back to normal, you might find that you have some extra time to communicate with those people, and you'll find there's a whole community of people who are doing this kind of stuff at the interface with corporations, with business, with politics, with health, with education. And that's how the world's going to change, by every single one of us taking responsibility for that love affair that I've been speaking of. But first, it's very important that we not lose our minds, or in those moments when we do blow it and lose our minds, excuse me, that we wake up pretty quickly to the fact that we've done that, rather than sort of get lost for weeks in some dark depression or grip of anxiety or anger or othering or hatred, or all the kinds of things that we're totally capable of, that are not actually going to be healing for either ourselves, our families, or the world. Now, is that easy to do? No, it's simple to say. It's not so easy to do. That's why we have a meditation practice, to befriend all those aspects of mind, including the darker creatures that live in the caves and stuff like that, and only come out in certain moments. And when we embrace them, they're not dark anymore, and they don't live in caves. Does
Thank you,
that make
Jon.
any sense to you?
Yeah, yeah, very much so.